Depending on the impressions and interactions I get from this particular video will determine if I should continue the other videos I have planned for this particular edit. I have 3 divided videos planned for this. I'm going to do the first one here in Capture One, go about processing the image here in Capture One. Then I jump into Photoshop, do a first part in Photoshop and the second part in Photoshop. So it's going to be like a full-on edit divided into 3 parts. So let's see how this video goes. Let me get more interaction from you guys. Leave comments down in the comment section below. In this video also, I'm going to take up the obtrusive ads, which obviously will be sponsored by my shop, labeled the shop down in the description. So if you want more of these videos to not have all these YouTube ads, kindly support the channel by purchasing something from my website. Be a supporter today. Be a patron. Right, I think I would have to look into getting the Patreon account. So I got this image from one of my students, Yasmin, Remain makeup artist. She traveled to Nigeria one time. Let's see what we have here with respect to. So it's a Canon R6 image shot at ISO 250 f4 with a 50mm lens, shutter speed 1/125. I don't know whether if she used flash. Okay, I think I know the kind of modifier she used. So she used the lantern. I know her to have an LED, so a lantern and LED. The lantern modifier to modify the LED and with the reflector to bounce back light. And as you can see, I think there was another LED here and there, so I think 3 lights, you know. But yeah, great image. I love the skin tones and everything. I love the look of the R6. Fine, let's jump into what we have to do today. Make sure you subscribe before you leave. What I do, which is this time around, I think I'm using the new Capture One 2023. The orientation of where most of the adjustments are different. I think they have moved everything from the color under the adjustment. They realize color and whatever white balance are all under adjustment. So style comes before adjustment, and you have the base characteristics, styles and presets, and adjustment clipboards. You know, let's see what the shape does. What I want to do is to correct any light fall off we might have in there by doing this with a lens correction. With Keystone, I think the image is warped right. I don't have to do anything to it, so I'm just going to jump back into the style. Within my style, usually I like to keep the ICC profile at their generic form with regards to these days the kind of profiles I create or the kind of cool styles I create. But for this video, I tried the generic and the pro standard, and I realized a massive difference with respect to how Canon handles reds. So if I look at the pro standard, it kind of sends me in the direction I'm looking for. I don't know what the skin color for this model was. What I usually do when I take pictures is to see the picture, the skin color of the model I'm shooting for future editing purposes, so that I get to keep the skin tones right in check. So I'm going to move this or put it at pro standard, and let me come back to the shape. Let me see if there's anything that has to do with zoom and distortion. So let's see, distortion wise, yeah, because it's a 50mm, there's some sort of distortion, so I've increased the distortion. Back to style. If I was to use any of my styles, either the Mark or the TJD color styles, this is what the cream will look like, right? But let's not go into that. So let's just jump into, you know, making sure we can adjust this as we go. I'm going to open my layers and masks, and I can see the layers and masks, the AI brush tool and all that. I mean, I love it. I'm not going to do that today. What I would do is to create 2 new layers. Label this skin matching, then label the second one as color grading. Now on the image layer, the background layer, I'm going to come into the white balance. First off, we need to correctly balance this image with respect to color correction. What I usually do if I don't have any neutral color in the image is to go to the eyes. So I'm going to hit this and move around the eyes. All right. Pick an appropriate one. So let's zoom out. This is how it looks like. So I'm going to hold Option on the keyboard or Alt for Windows. Click before and after, before and after. That's how it looks like. I think if I had left the white balance and changed the basic characteristics to Pro Standard, we'll be in this kind of direction. But you know what? Let's move this. Let's move the Kelvin so that we can have this brown kind of tone. I'm assuming this lady is a light skin model. So what I'll do is to come into my curves. Well, let's start with my levels for now. Then do the regular levels adjustment. We all know. Add some white, put some blacks. Come into my exposure and reduce the brightness. Then we kind of have our contrast. The next thing I do with respect to light skin models is to soften the skin. There are two ways I do that. Either I reduce the clarity, I go and remove sharpness, or I use curves. I come into curve, Luma curve, and create a reverse S curve. So lift up the shadows and drop the highlights a little bit to create that feel of, open shadows and all that. Then I'll come into my RGB. Because I've lifted the shadows, I've created less contrast in this. I'm going to introduce a contrast back with this RGB quickly. Now we can see before and after, where we started from, where we are. So you can see how the elimination of reds have been achieved by white balancing the image and all that. I want to quickly zoom in and show you something. When it comes to making up or makeup shots, you realize at the edges of usually the forehead, right on the top of the lips, underneath the lips, the chin area. Let me zoom in quickly. You can see that within this area, it kind of has a lot more saturated makeup products, and it's mostly in the yellow tone. Right? If you completely look at the image, you realize some parts are reddish, some parts are yellowish. If you take a look at the neck region towards her upper torso, you can also see what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of things we can do here. That's where this new layer I created, the skin match. And if I hold or tap M on the keyboard to make the marks visible, there's nothing on it. It's an empty layer. What I then do is to come to my color editor, skin tone. So what we're doing, you're going to skin match. What I then do is double tap, increase, make sure I use the color picker to select this end. Let's zoom out. Right. Hit on view selected color range. Then we'll limit the selection to the color yellow. So I'm going to keep it there and start limiting it. All right. We are eliminating most of the reds out of it. So what we have now are the yellows that are not making our image stand out perfectly. So I'm going to open the yellows a little bit. What I then do is to make sure I change the hue from the yellow towards more reddish. Remove a little bit of the saturation for now. And I unify the color over there by using the uniformity slider and also increasing the saturation. That's where we are at right now. So I'm going to hit this off. Because it's an empty mask and nothing has been applied yet, I'm going to pick my brush tool, right click, and make sure the hardness is 0, opacity and flow all 100. Using pen pressure because I'm using my graphics tablet. I zoom in and I paint over the places that have that yellow looking feel, right? So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm not going to be really careful with the marks, but I'm going to show you something quickly at how I can refine the marks. So somewhere around the nose region, these areas, they usually pack a punch with respect to makeup products, and the edges of the forehead, like I was telling you guys about. So I'm going to do that also. Right, let's go to the lower part of her neck and the upper torso. So this whole area needs to have a very good looking reddish tone in there. All right, I'm going to zoom out, hit M on the keyboard to turn on the max, zoom in, then I will quickly show you the before and after. Before and after. Before and after. There's a subtle change. So what I'll do next is to open this up a little bit so that I have more of the selection in there. I'm going to reduce the uniformity, increase the saturation a little bit. Then I'll come into my basic. Because you are working on this mask, I'm going to come here, color selector, hit on this, select the orange automatically. Then I'm going to remove this a little bit towards the reds and away from the yellows. Let's quickly zoom out and see the skin matching with them. Even take a look at the lower part of the neck, the upper torso, like I keep on saying. This is before that, and this is after that. Before and after. I'm going to zoom in once again so you see what I'm talking about. Before and after. Before and after. All right, now let's zoom out. Since you're done with skin matching, there's nothing again I'm going to do in here. I'm going to go straight into color grading. And with color grading, I'm going to use the color balance tool, as you see over here. What I'll do, because I want to keep this in the light skin kind of look, what I'll do is to send my mid-tones into this greenish cyan, the mint greenish areas. Make sure this is in the blues and make sure this is in the warmth region. Now let me show you what I do next. Open this all the way to the end, right? And mind you, this mask is also empty, so we'll right click and we'll invert the mask. By inverting the mask, we are now making it a full mask, right? Okay, now that this color grade has been applied on it, what I then do is fine tune the adjustment in my shadows and my highlights also, then in my midtones, make sure they are sitting right. Make it a little bit more bluish or purplish, bluish purple within the shadows, and it looks very good. Right, so let's quickly do a before and after. Before the color grade and after the color grade. Before the color grade and after the color grade. Let's reduce it a little bit, then that's fine. I'll come back to my image layer, go to my refine, and I'll remove my sharpness, like I said, to make my image soft. And if I double tap or zoom in, you see I have removed that grungy sharpness I don't want in the image. I know it kind of falls out of focus, but that's not the focus here. What you need to see in a beauty image, what you need to grab your attention, should have the sharpness around the eyes, the lips, and the other garments, except the texture of the skin. The texture of the skin, in my opinion, should look soft but more attractive, right? So if I have less sharpness on the skin, the texture looks very easy and appealing to the eye. So let's do a quick before and after slide view. This is before and that is the after. This is before and that is the after. This is something I will do when it comes to editing or processing this image in Capture One. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure you subscribe, share this video, like, interact with the video, leave your comments down there. Whatever it is you didn't get, you just let me know. There's more you can do here in Capture One, but I prefer to process my images like this here in Capture One and do the remaining skin work in Photoshop. So like I said, how well this video goes will determine if I should do the second video and the third video. So let's get interactive, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.